Pretty girl, what you doing out there? So she hurting a lover, now she don't care. Pretty girl with a body, with a Madonna body, so me take her off for the scene. You're right on.
Hey guys, welcome to CodeRICH,
third episode.
And this one we're going to be talking about money, the big topic.
What you all been waiting for.
Literally,
everyone's like, when are you guys going to talk about like actually making money?
Yeah, like when are you actually going to talk about what you signed up for?
And how do you actually get rich? We're going to get into all of that today.
Okay. In order to talk about money, there's a few things we do have to cover. So we're going to start by talking about how growing up can kind of shift your mindset and develop your mindset around money, how the mindset around money is very important, and just ways to invest, to get money to work for you, to not always be stuck on one income or one way of getting your money.
Yeah. And we'll also talk about investing for beginners. Where do you start? How do you start? What kind of investments do you start with? Like, we'll start with like beginner friendly investments, and work our way towards how to create assets. And we'll talk more about assets versus liability, and why some people are stuck with their cash flow. And yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to get into all of that, and we're so excited for this episode.
So excited.
Yeah, so I will just prompt it over to you to start with how money kind of develops us from the beginning.
From the womb.
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of people come from different starting points in their life. Like some people come from wealthy families. Some people come from middle-class families. Some people come from nothing. And I think it's possible for everybody to get to the top no matter where you start from.
Exactly.
Some people are fortunate enough to grow up in a family with money, and that's great for them.
Yep.
But some people grew up with struggle. And I think it's important to recognize the different ways to get to the top.
Yeah.
Start like depending on your starting point. So the idea of money growing up, I think there's a couple questions you have to ask yourself first and just reflect. Did you grow up around money? Did your friends grow up around money while your family struggled? What comes to your mind when you think of rich people? Is it greed? Is it luck? Is it hardworking? Is it selfish? What is your idea of rich? I think we need to establish that first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that's a really good starting point. And I think it's important to address too that, like you said, you can start at any point and you can still make it to the top. Yes. Will it be harder for others? For sure. 100%. Will there be more obstacles or more hard work having to be put in for certain than others? Yes. But that's kind of what makes the mentality. That's what makes the mindset. Yeah. So even I find sometimes too, like people with a background of growing up with less money at a younger age, sometimes I actually do see how they're a lot more motivated,
a lot more resilient.
Yeah, too. A lot more resilient, 100%, a lot more motivated. They see money a different way, whereas sometimes when you even grow up wealthier, you could get super comfortable. You could not even push yourself. So
like I have money anyway, so what's the point of like looking for more?
Like right? Exactly. Yeah. So but then you're able to develop a skill, a real skill of how you can make money work for you when you actually put the work in. So this is just appreciating all walks, but those questions, they definitely are very important to get into and just kind of think about it.
Yeah. And relating back to what we talked about in our last episode, about scarcity and abundance. With the scarcity mindset that we talked about, in relation to money, it's the fear of spending, the fear of success, guilt around wanting wealth, and constantly like feeling behind. And then abundance mindset is like like how you said, believing there's other opportunities, believing that they exist,
Yeah.
and you just have to find them. Understanding that wealth can be built by anyone, not comparing timelines, like comparing yourself to other people, like, oh, they're ahead of me, they're almost
Yeah.
at the top, I'm nowhere near them. And also like putting in the effort to learn and look for those opportunities.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very, very true. It's a lot about effort, and it's also a lot about planning and preparing, but not stalling. So you have to plan and prepare and be ready to put in the effort. When it comes to money, you have to be ready to start sometime. Like, I feel like at a certain point, if you're already set up in a way where you can start, we can stop making excuses and actually start on the investing, on the learning, on the growing, putting in actual work, like setting aside time for yourself to learn and to educate yourself, rather than be distracted. Because then, like, so
I also want to mention that some people think that, okay, I'm already in my, let's say I'm already in my 30s or I'm already in my 40s, like it's too late.
No,
it's never too
it's
late.
not.
Like if you're in your 20s, this is the best time for you to start investing.
Exactly.
And get you, like, you literally have a head start.
Yeah, you have a head start. Best time, because you don't want to be like way on in life and then kind of look back and think like I could have done it earlier.
Yes, I should have started sooner. I would have had more money by now.
At this age, you know. But yeah, like don't miss out on it. Don't miss out.
But also, you're never too old to start.
Yeah, exactly. And it's never too late, because things could turn around so quick. That's the thing about investing, and that's the thing about your mindset around money. You have to understand that when you think of an amount of money, you can easily just be like, oh yeah, like I could make that in this much amount of time, or that could happen. That is possible. It's really your mindset around it. And so it doesn't take years or generations, you know what I mean? Like it just takes in that wanting it bad enough that you're putting in your effort into it.
You can make it in a day.
Exactly. Like it's really like that.
You could so make it easy to make money. You just have to educate yourself and want to educate yourself. And literally, any one of you watching can be rich.
Yeah. Do the work too. Like that's what I mean by not stalling. Because keep educating yourself. Yes, keep educating. But then after a certain point, when you collect enough skills, have that confidence in yourself enough to just do it. Like make those phone calls, set up that account, transfer those funds. Like, you know what I mean? Like get it moving. Rolling.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying when it comes to the scarcity versus abundance mindset, because I find too, like you could see it in you could kind of categorize it in two ways to even make money. So as much as we are very pro get the nursing degree, we are very pro school, and we love and are grateful for our education and our jobs, we still do believe that you can't just cap it at that. You need to still want to learn. You still want to grow. So a lack or scarcity mindset would be like, okay, let me just look for security. Let me just get an education, lock down this job, and just stay safe, continue to kind of just make ends meet. With abundance, you're going to see more of, okay, like I've established this now, but I also am thinking of how I can make money work for me when I'm not even doing too much. Because in a job, you're going to have a 9-to-5 cap. And you can make a lot, yes, but then after a certain point, which also
comes with taxes and a lot of things, fine print.
Hourly, like how many hours do you have in a week? You know what I mean? And in a wage, how much money can you make?
And
there's
how
a
much
cap to it.
And how much physical labor can you as a human being do.
Can you do exactly?
Like there's only so much you can do. So you
Yeah.
need to find other like streams of income and other ways to make money, because it's just not
Mhm.
ideal to work your 9 to 5 for the rest of your life.
Exactly. And so then you would have to kind of go into the idea of, let me create businesses, or let me create a business that where I can arrange everything and I can sort it out, and it's doable. So don't stop it at, oh, that's not possible. Think of an idea and how can you execute it so that the money can start rolling in. There's some sort of profit somewhere along the lines.
You just have to find it.
Yeah. And then once you get those profits, you can use them to create investments, which will eventually go into assets, which Mahi will speak more about. And yeah,
And I think back to the point you said about school and getting that degree, like, yeah, we're all for it. Like,
Yeah,
go to
for
school,
sure.
get that degree, but that's just one source of income,
yeah.
right? And I think the school system honestly fails to teach us financial literacy.
Oh,
and
100%.
intelligence, because
Yeah.
it's like, yes, we were taught how to work for money, but we weren't taught on how money could work for us.
Yeah, we
in
weren't.
different ways.
There's
on
not even an
making money.
elective like that. Like, isn't that
No.
insane?
It's crazy. Like the only time
Yeah.
where you would somewhat learn about that is university. Like
Yeah.
if you're in business school, right?
Exactly.
Or
Which,
college.
yeah, even then.
Even
I've done
then.
those classes. Like, they don't teach as much as you could literally
They don't
learn
teach about
online.
investments. Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't teach on like how do you. Everybody says invest, 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 but how? Like where do you start?
Yeah. We'll be
You know?
talking about it though. So
But we'll teach
don't worry.
you.
We will
So
think
don't
of
worry.
all the ideas. We'll lay it out. But
Depending on what your degree is or what you study for. Let's talk about nursing, for example. Like, yes, it's a high paying job, but our living expenses are
Yeah.
also high.
they're
So
so high
is it
nowadays.
really a high paying
especially.
job? Like, is it
Yeah.
a livable wage?
Yeah, it's really
You
just
know?
enough to get by, which is
exactly.
which is what we want to work on with you guys. Like, we don't want that for ourselves. We're not claiming that energy for ourselves. We want more.
We want more.
Exactly, and that is okay. We hear risks, and sometimes we hear that word and there's like a negative connotation.
Mhm.
But no, like calculated risks, like risks where even we can get into that, where there are some ways you can invest,
Mhm.
where you can invest whether the price of something goes up or if the price of something goes down, if the market you're investing in, if the idea you're investing in goes one way or the other. So it's
Yeah.
calculated risks, and we can take those. We just have to educate ourselves about it.
Yeah. Also, another point. How many of you guys go to the casino? Like, how many
Yeah.
of you,
I don't.
like, I don't really go to the casino.
I
either.
I actually
don't really
wouldn't
gamble.
be able
but
to.
A lot of
I've
people
gone
our
before,
age
but
do.
not to do it myself.
A lot of people do though, and they go to like they go to casinos, they gamble their money. But why are you gambling when you could put that same money into an investment?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I also read somewhere, which I actually understand it, where it's like you need to look at it long term in a way. So yes, sometimes you're crunched for time, you need the money right now, all those things. Yes, that is very true, and we are acknowledging that. We acknowledge how hard it really can be out there.
Yeah.
However, you need to have this strong mindset that everything will work out, and it will work out in your favor, with favor, in a positive way.
Yeah.
And nothing like in a very humble way too. Just understand that life is going to be okay. So once you have that mindset around money, is if you can have that security to just rest and relax and flow and make smart decisions, make decisions that make sense, not in a rush, then long term you could meet a goal so much more efficiently. Let's say, like you say, in a year I'm going to make this much capital versus I need this much money by next week. When you think of it in those two different ways, it creates such a different posture around it.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to make this like really like a lifestyle shift, like a mindset shift that you're going to continue to grow and evolve, and you're going to continue to make money work for you. Even if you get a few losses, you're gonna get gains.
You're
too.
gonna get losses. It's
Yeah.
inevitable.
Yeah,
But
it happens.
yeah. And I
Mhm.
think like with gambling, it's more of like a short term luck based way to
Exactly.
make money.
Yeah.
But with investments, there is a risk with investments too. But
it makes a lot of
you
sense.
but you can educate yourself. You can
Mhm.
research. You can look for stocks that are doing well.
Yeah.
You can look for, like, you can do more research, and that's more
Yeah.
long term,
Mhm.
more of a long term return.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really just that posture you bring too, right? Because
Yeah.
it's literally the same thing. Like gambling is the same thing as someone who's like, I want to make money in like 2-3 weeks. Like, yes, it's possible, but
You
honestly,
can also
truly,
do that
you
with
need to spend some more time.
yeah.
And that's where we're not going to sugarcoat it. Like,
Mhm.
we're not going to sugarcoat it, but it definitely, there is a return,
Yeah.
and you will see it in your life long term.
And even with investments, you can also make money in 2 to 3 days. Like, you
Mhm.
can get into day trading where
Yeah.
you're literally
Day trading
making
is
money in
so
seconds.
nice.
Like, there's other
Mhm.
ways like to make money.
Yeah,
And
exactly. There's
yeah.
so many things we could really think of, and we'll talk more about examples
Mhm.
at the end, like examples of business ideas, examples of business models, or
Mhm.
even investment opportunities. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
Another important topic I think we should address is spending culture and social media.
Yes,
Yeah.
trust
So,
me,
yeah.
I agree. I'm already right there with you.
Yes, because a lot of people on social media, they're so focused on looking rich, buying designer clothes, buying designer bags, shoes, looking rich. But behind the scenes, are you rich, or are you struggling to make ends meet because you're trying to look rich?
Mhm.
Right? And it's like, when does rewarding yourself become irresponsible?
Mhm. 100% agree.
And you really have to think about like your
Mhm.
daily spending
Yeah.
habits. Are you buying Starbucks every morning? Like, are you
Mhm.
spending $9 on a drink,
Yeah.
a coffee every
that
morning?
you could make at home?
Are you?
Please. Stop it.
And like, are you going to these fancy places and buying expensive dinners to get a picture for Instagram?
Right?
Like,
Exactly.
I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand.
No, like what you said about we have to start drawing the line at rewarding ourselves at some point,
Mhm.
because it's like, yes, you deserve a lot, and yes, you work hard, but at the same time, this is a form of taking care of yourself
Mhm.
by thinking about your future budgeting, and then
Yeah.
that.
And I want you to ask yourself, are you spending money for yourself, or are you trying to impress other people?
100%.
Yeah.
That's a big one, because like personally, I feel like you should be able to not spend so much on materialistic or aesthetic things. Like, okay, for women, I understand maintenance.
Mhm.
Like, I understand that part, but
We're biased, but
but like, no, but I mean, like, even clothes, like, they don't have to be that expensive.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the best thing all the
and
time.
it's okay to reward yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you work hard,
Exactly, and that's also
it's your money,
okay.
you deserve it.
Yeah.
But you have to know when to draw, like you said, when to draw the
Mhm.
line at
Yeah.
being irresponsible.
Yeah. And I think too, that's a really good segue for us to get into budgeting as well.
Yeah.
Because budgeting is so important, and I didn't realize it until I got older, and I realized like I really don't budget,
Mhm.
and I had to set a plan for myself. So
Yeah.
with budgeting, even you will have to spend some time to like work on yourself too, like
Mhm.
in the sense, maybe I have to say no to this right now so I can say yes to something later.
Mhm.
And it's just really good to stay organized and on top of it, because I know the Apple Pay culture too well. Like, you'll keep
Or Klarna,
tapping,
like Afterpay.
right?
Don't even get yourself
Don't get
into
me
that
started on
rabbit
that,
hole.
right?
Like, you won't come
No,
out.
seriously.
Like,
Okay.
pay later? No, that's the
it's so
biggest,
funny.
biggest,
Right?
like, I want to say scam. I know it's not a scam, but like a scam for
It's not
yourself.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's the biggest
Mhm.
setup. Don't
Yeah.
do it.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, try to also, like, we're going to talk about expenses
Mhm.
and liabilities, try to keep your expenses in a cap, you know? So if you know you can't afford that really expensive car, don't go for the really expensive car right now. So it's honestly okay to go for something that's more reasonable right now and then make a plan on how you're going to get there for something way better. I think we tend to rush into a lot of things. We tend to think that, again, with scarcity, that, oh, it's not going to be there in a few years if I don't do it right now. But that's not true. Prepare, plan
ahead,
yeah,
for sure.
exactly. Keep your expenses at a good cap. Like, you have a set amount that you know you want your expenses to stay in, and calculate it according to that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to calculate what you need to pay monthly. So whether it's a car loan or you're looking into getting a car, think about if you're going to pay it weekly, bi-weekly, how much you're paying, how much are you paying for insurance, how much are you paying for rent or your mortgage, how much are you paying for your bills and miscellaneous things like gas. Like, you have to think about every little thing that you spend your money on in a month, and then you have to have some left over for emergencies.
Exactly. Oh, wow. It's crazy you said that, because I was just going to say emergency fund.
Yeah.
I was going to say, okay, if you don't have one right now, don't fear. Like, it's still, you can still get there.
Never too
you can
late
get
to
there.
start.
Exactly.
Even $5 is something, right?
Exactly. But you should have an emergency fund, because as much as you put your expenses in a cap, things will come up, things will happen. You have to be prepared.
Things happen. Your dog gets sick. You have to take him to the vet.
Yeah,
$500.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Like, just out of nowhere, someone hits your car.
Yeah,
$500 deductible. 100%. Like, you have to be prepared.
No, seriously.
Which is why it's so important not to work paycheck to paycheck either.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so important. Like, and again, if you're not there yet, it's not too late to start. Like, if you haven't started having an income outside of your 9 to 5 or investing, it's never too late to start. You could literally start today, as early as today. So I don't want to hear excuses. And also, now we're talking about expenses, right? And then we're talking about emergency fund. Then you need to have money to save, and you need to have money to invest too.
Yes, for sure. And I love how you mentioned that, because I think it's so important to, when you get your paycheck, every whatever, weekly, bi-weekly, when you get your paycheck, invest money before spending.
Yes.
So I want you to think about your expenses. So number one, I want you to put in money into an investment. That's number one. Before you do anything, before you pay any bills, I want you to set aside some money and put it into an investment every single paycheck.
Yep. And it's possible. It's possible.
It is possible. So just put your money. So
don't spend on that $9 Starbucks drinks, y'all.
Don't. But
invest it.
But if you go with these steps in order, you can buy that Starbucks drink,
and you'll get to that point where you could buy it freely, and you won't even think about it.
So the first step I want you to do is put money into an investment, whether it's one stock, whether it's an ETF, whether it's multiple stocks. I want you to put money into an investment. I'm repeating this because
it's so important.
It needs to get drilled in your head.
And it's slept on.
It is.
It's slept on, but it's real.
That's the number one thing that you have to do when you get your paycheck. Number two, this is when we get into bills. So your rent, your mortgage, your water bill, your gas bill. Third, that's when the rest of your money should go into your emergency fund. Not the whole thing, but majority of it should go into your emergency fund. And lastly, very, very, very lastly, you spend on miscellaneous things.
No, literally. And that's exactly how it should be. And it's doable. Like, you could really budget properly and have money to spend on the things you really like and still keep going. And slowly you keep building that. You'll see in depending on what routes you're taking and depending on how fast you're moving,
it could be a couple
you could
days,
see things in a couple days,
couple weeks,
to a couple months,
couple years.
Exactly. But you will see a return as long as you're consistent. You're starting. Yeah, exactly.
All you have to do is just start somewhere and stay consistent.
Yeah.
Every single paycheck.
And
every single paycheck.
yeah, every single paycheck. It's really doable. When we talk about budgeting, we mentioned a few things, right? We mentioned investments and we also talked about paychecks. But in line with all of that, you can also come to realize how important it is to think about business. Like business, sometimes we skip on that. We think that you have to do so much to start a business, but no, that's actually very much not true. You can start at any point, just you have to have a good idea. And there's so many opportunities, so many ways, so many routes. So, for example, you could simply have just an idea of something you want to execute, and you become the manager and you bring it all together. So, you get clients, you get employees, you get supplies, you get a system running, and then you can calculate it in a way where somewhere in between all that you can make a profit. So that's a business idea. Another business idea is a self-made business idea, and that comes a lot with marketing. So you have to be good with your marketing, make sure you're really putting your drive into it, like you're marketing on social media, you're marketing using business cards, you're going and showing up at certain events and putting it out there. And I think that it's really doable, and you can build a brand around it to even further push it. And like, just an example, just an idea, right? Like,
and that's just one business that you're talking about. Think about when that business takes off and you're making all this profit and extra money. Now you can start a second one, a third one, a fourth one. And you can double, triple, quadruple your money. And now you don't even have to work. Your business is making the money for you.
So now imagine all that work you're putting into your 9 to 5, because it sounds like so much work running all these businesses, right?
It is all a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. But when all that work you're putting into your 9 to 5, you could put into the businesses. That is making you more money than your 9 to 5, and it's giving you more time than your 9 to 5 would have. So it's really possible, and you just have to get that pen, get that paper, brainstorm, think about research, think about what interests you, and really get into it. Like, you have to believe in yourself above all, and it is so possible. And when these businesses, they start working for you, you could really use them and put them into investments, make assets for yourself. So for investing, we can talk about a little bit about a few ways to invest. So we talked about examples of some business ideas. I didn't get too much into detail with direct examples. If you guys want that, you could let us know in the comments below. We could make an episode or a segment just on that. But just some ideas around business. But then on investments, you could even chime in.
So with investments, it's a big word. Like, hearing the word invest, like, it's a lot. A lot of people, like we talked about, the school system doesn't teach you this stuff. My parents didn't teach me this stuff, right? So it's like, I'm kind of like starting at the bottom. Like, now I have to figure out, what is an investment? How can I start? So investing for beginners. Let's start with the options that will give you rewards with less risk. So 2 very big ones. 1 is stocks. Number 2 is ETFs. And we'll talk a little bit more about what each one is. So with stocks, a stock is a small piece of a company, one company that you're buying. You can buy multiple shares of that company, but it's one company that you're investing in. So with stocks, there is a potential for high returns, but the risk is that the prices can go up or down very quickly. And the risk is higher, and it requires a lot more research. With ETFs is a collection of multiple companies rather than buying shares of one company. So for example, it could be like, an example of a stock would be one share of Apple, for example. And then an example of an ETF is shares of multiple companies. So Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, they're all in one ETF. So let's say that, like, one of them crashes, you still have the rest. So the risk is lower because your money is spread out across
Yeah,
different
it kind of
companies.
balances out.
Yeah, and it's diversified, and it is beginner friendly.
Mhm.
And I think I would say it's a slower growth than stocks, but it's still a good spot to start at.
Yeah.
So if you're brand new, I would start with ETFs,
Mhm.
and then slowly work your way into stocks. Do more research, look at what's booming, what's crashing, and yeah. So
Yeah.
if you, for example, if you invest $100 into one stock, your money depends on that one company.
Mhm.
So let's say I bought $100 worth of an Apple share.
Mhm.
If Apple crashes, my $100 is gone.
Yeah.
But let's say you buy one ETF, so your money is spread across like multiple different companies. If one company crashes, you still have the rest.
Yeah.
Right. And it could be like 500 plus companies.
That's how
in that one
ETFs work.
ETF, right?
Yeah.
So you're good. You're good.
And with ETFs, there's actually a lot of the times these companies are also combined into categories. So you'll see like an ETF for a bunch of tech and AI companies, which are really big right now. So tech and AI are some really good ones to look into. If you're going to research on what ETFs
Yes.
to go for, you can look into tech and AI. Then there's some ETFs that are bunched up into a bunch of companies around energy sources, or a bunch of companies regarding the military, or a bunch of companies that come from Canada. Then some will be all that come from US, some will be Canada, US, and foreign. So ETFs are like bundles and packages, and they kind of sometimes and oftentimes they follow a theme. So you can really go based off of that with your ETFs too. And that kind of gives more perspective on what an ETF is if you're trying to wrap your mind around a new concept.
Yeah, for sure. And like, if you think about back to like the opportunities, look for these opportunities. Like when there's like third world countries at war, think about oil. Think about like all these resources that would be either booming or crashing. Invest into those. Like invest into take those opportunities. Yeah. When you think about stocks, you're like, okay, and you don't have much knowledge on it and you're a beginner, think about what you consume. Like for example, for me, when I like first started investing, I like I'm wearing Aritzia right now. I love Aritzia. Buy a share of Aritzia. Just buy something that you consume on a daily basis. Buy Apple, buy Google, buy Microsoft. Go the safe route. And then once you like get more education and once you do more research, go for the ones that people don't usually go for.
So that's one way of investing, through stocks and ETFs, but there's actually a few other ways too. We also talked about businesses, but when we have that money coming in from the businesses, we can actually put it into real estate, insurance, high ticket sales. That's the word that summarizes all of this. High ticket sales could be real estate, meaning you're selling and buying and you're renting out properties, and those are in turn making you money while you're not really doing anything. You just have a system set in place. So for example, you could look for multi-unit properties. So instead of renting out to one family, you look for a home space where you can rent out to 2 or 3 buyers at one time, like an upstairs, a downstairs, 2 units in the downstairs, and even workspaces. So multi-unit workspaces, studios, offices, those types of things. And then high ticket sales could also be insurance, because you could be selling insurance. You invest into getting your license for your insurance, or you could even invest into getting your license for real estate. But now you can sell these to people for a commission. You can sell these to your clients for a commission, and it's such a high capital in the sense that insurance people pay thousands of dollars for, and for real estate, people pay tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars for. So if you're able to just sell at the right time, right place, right market, and just get some, then you can easily get a return if you make the right decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so that's the whole concept behind high ticket sales. It's a really good way to invest because you're investing to in turn be able to sell more than one of something that can continue to bring you back a good return.
Yeah, and then eventually you can sell the property, sell the studio, and make an even bigger profit.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
really
I think it's important to understand and drill this into your head. Never, ever, ever invest money into something that you can't afford to lose.
100%. Don't go all in.
No, don't go all in. If you do want to invest a large sum of money into something, you have to make sure you either build more income through assets or have a large, very large emergency fund in case things go south. Because if you invest all of your money into stocks or ETFs or real estate and you have nothing to fall back on, if things crash and if things go south, you're screwed. So you have to have like a backup plan. You have to have multiple assets that are generating income in case one fails.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I actually love how you said get your assets to make the investments for you, because that's actually what it talks about in this book I'm reading. The book is called Rich Dad's Guide to Investing, and it's by Robert Kiyosaki, I believe. And he kind of goes into this concept of where there's a poor dad's advice and a rich dad's advice, where the poor dad's advice is, just get the stable income, get the security, and the rich dad's advice is build businesses from which you can use that money now to invest. Yeah. So use your assets to quite literally invest into what can make you more money. And I really like this book because it really goes a lot into that.
His books are so good. I read one of his other books called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, actually. And he talks a lot about building assets that deliver cash flow, is putting your money to work for you versus working a 9-to-5 where you're working for your money, which come with paying high taxes. And working a job is only one source of income, like how we spoke about earlier. And it's good for investing the money you made, but not ideal to retire with.
Exactly.
And you need to learn how to, like you said, generate multiple sources of income through assets that can eventually generate money by themselves. And then you don't have to work a job.
Yeah, exactly. It's using your 9-to-5 to build your 5-to-9, to get your 5-to-9 to then get you out of your 9-to-5.
Yes, period.
And that 5-to-9 can be your assets that end up letting you invest.
Exactly.
So you really have to plan it out in a good way. Yeah. Where, it's okay to have a job. It's okay to start at the job.
It's a good thing to have a job, yeah.
It's really good, actually. It would be the smarter way to have a job, have a stable income, have your expenses covered. And then in that time you have, that extra time you have, because you do have time that you could make, you build on what can make money for you until it generates enough that you don't need to work anymore.
Which is why I say for every single paycheck, I don't care if it's $5, I don't care if it's $2,000, every single paycheck, put something into investments, because one day, those investments will start paying for everything. Yeah, you don't have to work that job anymore.
And that kind of goes into the mentality that goes behind this book, the way these books are written, because it just talks a lot about a rich person's mindset and how you really have to want it, you have to go for it, you have to put in the steps. And I think that it's a good read and it's quite interesting too.
For sure. Yeah, you guys should definitely read those books, because I think he's so good at just telling you how it is. He'll straight up call you poor. He'll be like, if you're doing this, you're broke, you're poor. If you want to be rich, do this. He
straightforward though.
Yeah, but it's so easy to read and so good for beginners, because he really breaks down these cash flow patterns. And speaking about cash flow patterns, he specifically in Rich Dad Poor Dad, in that book, he talks about 3 different categories. Maybe we can like put up pictures of the charts that he uses in his books. So with your poor person cash flow pattern, you start off with a job. And that's your only source of income, which is your salary, which in turn you're using to pay for your expenses. So your taxes, rent, food, transportation, clothes, and then that's it. There's nothing extra. There's nothing more. With your middle class cash flow pattern, you start off the same way as your poor person. So you start off with a job, which gives you a salary, which is your income, your only income. And then you have something called liabilities, which is a mortgage, a car loan, a credit card debt, student loan. And then those liabilities come with the expenses. So your mortgage payment, your credit card payment, your school loan payment, your student loan payment, sorry. And with both of these, so your poor person cash flow and your middle class cash flow, with both of these patterns, the similarity is that you only have one source of income, which is your job. The difference between poor person and middle class is that middle class is adding liabilities, which you're actually
just putting yourself more at a disadvantage.
You're spending more money.
Yeah.
And then we go into rich person's cash flow.
This is where we want to be.
This is where we all
there.
Be.
You will get there.
You will. It's going to take some time and effort, but you will get there. But a rich person's cash flow pattern starts not at a job. It starts at assets. So assets meaning, like you said, real estate, stocks, etc. So they don't need a job. No job is needed because these assets are creating and generating their income. So whether it's rental income, their dividend, their interest, etc., which can in turn be used to pay for your liabilities, so your mortgage, your credit cards, and then pay for the expenses that come with those liabilities, mortgage payment, taxes, etc. So to sum it up, their assets are generating income for them, which in turn is paying for these liabilities and these expenses without a job.
Yes, and that is so good. At the end of the day, money really is a system.
It is.
It's a system, and there are loopholes, and there are ways to overcome it, and there's ways to make it work in your favor. So it's really a system. You have to get dedicated to learning it, to understanding money, and seeing which ways money can be used. And it's not only the traditional way that we always see.
There's so many paths. You just have to figure it out and learn and be willing to learn.
Yeah. And you also have to just be willing to step out of your comfort zone too. Like in these books that we're talking about, there was also just a quote too. And I just want to highlight this one and then we'll move forward because I really love what's said here. And it essentially just says, for most people, if becoming rich disturbs their comfort or makes them feel insecure, they will forsake becoming rich. It's so true because a lot of the times we can have a certain mindset around money that can stop us from taking risks. There's fears involved around it. There's not that well foundation. And so you can start and you can really get into it. You just have to shift your mindset around it, and you have to be okay with growing out of what you've normally heard or what you've normally seen, what you've been taught.
So everything, literally everything that we talk about on this podcast goes back to mindset, which is why we started with those first couple episodes speaking about mindset and growth, because it really is like it's the foundation to becoming rich.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And I love that you mentioned fear, because another thing that Robert talks about in Rich Dad Poor Dad is the 5 reasons financially literate people don't develop abundant cash flow. So you could be financially literate, but that doesn't mean you're like generating that income. So number 1, he talks about fear. So the only people that haven't lost money investing are the people that haven't tried it. Because with investing, it's a risk. Like with anything in life, like there are risks to it, and you are going to lose money. It's like inevitable. You're going to lose some, you're going to win some, you're going to gain some. But you have to try, because if you don't try, you'll never know.
You have to try. And you know, risk management, like we said, like have that money set aside that you can use. You can't afford to lose. Fear attached to it, you know?
Exactly. And one thing that I love this saying, take risks to prosper.
Yes.
You're not going to prosper if you don't take any risk. Like you have to take risks.
Exactly.
Number 2 that he talks about is cynicism. So that like self-doubt or doubts of other people keeping us from acting.
Oh yeah.
So playing it safe is gonna get you anywhere.
Yeah, like, it's not.
Back to you really have to take.
You're just gonna be in the same place you were today, many years from now.
Exactly. And then number 3, laziness, which is
that's a big
so common. It's a big one. And one common form of laziness is staying too busy. Like saying, oh, I'm too busy to do research. I'm too busy to invest. I'm too, I can't afford it versus how can I afford it?
Yeah.
Right. Back to that scarcity versus abundance mindset. And you have to be a little greedy.
Yeah.
You have to want money.
you have to be a little driven. You have to be a little excited. You have to be a little bit like ready for that. Yeah.
Ambitious.
Exactly. You have to be ready for that little bit of a like adrenaline rush almost.
Yeah.
Like, it should excite you.
It should excite you because do you want to be rich? You have to.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to be rich. And then number 4, bad habits. So back to like the spending and like the dumb decisions. I think you have to pay yourself first, and then bills and taxes and everything comes second. So the paying yourself first is the investing that we were talking about. You have to put your money into investments, invest in yourself first, and then worry about bills and payments and whatnot. And then number 5, last but not least, arrogance, which is a huge one. The arrogance of thinking you know everything and not educating yourself enough on investments and businesses, because cockiness will just lead to losses because of your lack of knowledge.
Exactly. And truly, I actually completely agree with that last one the most, like the arrogance, because you started off by listing these by saying people who are financially literate. So these people, they are financially literate, but it's just the arrogance is there that they're no longer space to learn, to be taught, thinking that they know the way that is set right now is the way to go. And I think that is probably the biggest obstacle. I think that is probably the biggest obstacle that people have to overcome in order to be ready to start investing with us.
Yes. So we're all going to be rich. I'm telling you, we're all going to be rich. We're all going to get to the top. It's going to happen. It's going to take time.
There's room for all of us. And, you just have to
put in the work.
Yeah. Put in the work. Have a really good mindset. And believe in yourself.
Yes. And this was just like a foundation. This is for beginners. If you guys are interested, we could talk a little bit more about stocks and a little bit more about ETFs and real estate and different ways to invest. But this is just like a foundation that a lot of beginners can start with.
And it's a good foundation because a lot of these things you have to sit down and start thinking about them for them to even come up. And if you have any ideas, or if you have any questions, or you like a certain topic, you want us to go more into it, interact with us, let us know, and we will definitely deliver. Like we're ready for that. So.
And I know we talked about like different investments, but what we didn't mention is like how to start investing. What app do you download? What like accounts do you create? So if you guys want more on that, we can also do a video on that in detail, and what stocks to invest in, how to start.
Exactly. So thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. We super appreciate it as always.
This one was an exciting one.
Exactly. We really enjoyed it, and we cannot wait to get more into this topic with you guys in the future.
Let's all get rich.
Bye.
Bye.
You say, hey, pretty girl, what you doing out there? So she hurting a lover, now she don't care. Pretty girl with a body, with a mad body, so me take her off for the scene. You're not up.